Okay, you know what? This isn't right. Yeah, it's too low. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about the very famous Mazda MX-5, more commonly known as Miatas. I have a Miata, so I feel like I need to be the one to talk about this. If I have a YouTube channel, I feel like I have to talk about this. The Miata market is fucking insane right now. Absolutely fucking insane. Having one myself, I'm always searching Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and things like that for Miatas, and it's just ridiculous. Why are Miatas without a hardtop, ton of miles, maybe running and driving, maybe not great? Why are they $5 grand? It's an NA Miata. There's a bajillion of them. Mazda made a ton of these. I just don't quite understand why they're getting so expensive, but I have some ideas and I figured I would share that with you guys. So my first hunch is that NA Miatas, especially the NA1, were just classified as a classic and collectible vehicle. I believe either Haggerty or some company like that classified these as a classic and collectible vehicle, which I absolutely understand. Miatas being a classic vehicle. The Mazda Miata came out in 1989 everywhere except for the United States, where it came out in 1990, and it pretty much revolutionized the way people look at sports cars. This was a sports car that everyone could get their hands on, and if you ask any car enthusiast today, what's a good first project car for me? 9 out of 10 times they're gonna say Miata. As we all know, Miata is always the answer. $5 grand? For a project car? Pretty ridiculous. Let's first talk about why these cars are considered classics. So to do that, I think we have to look at a few other classic cars, and especially the ones that this car, being the Mazda Miata, was based off of. It was based off of a lot of British roadsters, and Japan had a few cars that were inspired like that, but Mazda hadn't done anything like that yet. The thing about the Miata is it's a lot like those British roadsters, those classic British roadsters. They made a lot of them, and everyone got their hands on one right away. They sold very, very well, and they were very, very successful cars, and that's why they're still making Miatas today, and why they're still selling so well. The Mazda Miata is a fantastic car, and I'm just saying all of this from my own personal experience with these cars. I've driven a lot of them. I have my own. I have a fairly okay understanding of why they're so popular. I feel like to anyone that hasn't driven one or doesn't own one, which is very few people at this point, they don't quite get it. And it seems like it's looking like a drift tax, like we saw with the Nissan 240SX, when drifting became really, really big, when it's at like that very peak of drifting. And I honestly have been so far out of the drifting world lately that I don't even know what the hell's going on. The 240SX got stupid expensive for a while. Now Miatas are doing that. The biggest reason with that is you can kind of do anything with a Miata. You can make a drift car out of a Miata. You can make a stance car out of a Miata. You can make an autocross car out of a Miata. You can daily drive a Miata. You can take it on back roads for some fun canyon carving. You can take it on a rally. You can take it on a long road trip like I did, and drive it all the way down the Washington, Oregon, and California coasts, and it won't give up on you. Those 1.6 liter engines, especially in the NA1 Miata, are bulletproof. It's ridiculous. I will always stand by that. Having just had a 1.6 Miata, which get way more shit than they deserve, it will never leave you completely stranded. It will never completely give up on you. It'll break because it's an old car, and old cars break because things wear out over time, and that's to be expected. My car has broken countless times, but it has never stopped altogether. It's never completely stopped running. Whether it's run horribly, or it's run great, or it's had some little thing here or there, it's never completely given up. And that is something that a lot of those British roadsters don't have. Those cars are significantly less reliable. What makes the Mazda Miata a classic car? It's a car that everyone remembers, everyone knows, everyone can recognize immediately. It's extremely reliable. it'll stand by any owner that has it, and that's why so many people that own Miatas speak so highly of them, despite how much shit they get for owning one. We all know about that. They are just incredibly easy to own. I mean, they're cheap to get parts for, they're super easy to work on, they won't break very often. When they break, it's not the end of the world. They're just easy to have. They're an easy, cheap car to own, they get great gas mileage, they're really reliable, you can take them on long trips, you can take them pretty much anywhere, they're small enough that they can kind of go anywhere, and you can do just about anything that you want to them as far as a build goes. It absolutely makes sense that these cars became a classic. There are a lot of cars like that very quickly became classics. Things like the Ford Mustang and the Chevrolet Corvette, old air-cooled Porsches, things like that all have the same criteria to them that allow them to be a good classic car. It makes complete sense to me that a car like the Mazda Miata is becoming a classic. That makes a lot of sense on why prices are skyrocketing, is people are realizing the potential that these cars have. As someone that owns a Miata, somehow, for some reason, my incredibly toxic brain just wants me to own 10 more of them for all different types of reasons. I have my show car now. It was my first car. I held on to it. I don't plan on letting it go, and it's doing exactly what I had originally envisioned for it. However, I would love to have a Miata to take to track days, or to take to autocross, or to take drifting, or to take on back roads, or to just have as a little cruiser on the weekends if I want to go to the beach or something. I would love to have a Miata for every single purpose. That's the great thing about them, is they can be for every single purpose. I just thought we would just look at Facebook Marketplace, because if anyone is a car enthusiast looking for a car to buy, everyone knows that Facebook Marketplace is a place to find interesting things. Let's just open up Marketplace here real quick. The one thing that Marketplace always has a million of is Miatas. So let's type in Miata. Now my Miata, when I got it 3 years ago, just over 3 years ago now, it was $1,500. It had 86,000 original miles. It ran, but it didn't go into gear. That seemed fairly reasonable to me. It was fairly low mileage, but it was bone stock and had one little issue with it, which ended up being like a master or slave cylinder, not that big of a deal. There are cars going for so much more than that right now on Marketplace. Like, let's take this one for example. So this will be the first one that I'm gonna screenshot every listing that I look at. So let's take this one for example. It looks modified, it looks like it's got some low pro headlights, interior looks okay. Let's see what else. Engine bay looks fairly put together. It looks like a solid car. Now let's look at the description here. 97 Miata, salvage title. So let's keep that in mind here. Salvage title. It's smog, so I live in California, we have to deal with that. This car is post 1974, so you have to smog it. Cold AC and warm heater, so that's a plus. Not every Miata came with AC, mine doesn't have AC. Current registration, great. 5-speed, 1.8. So it's the 1.8 liter, so it's a little bit less reliable, but it'll make a little bit more power stock. LED headlights are fixed, so I would say that takes away from the value of the car, since they're fixed in place, they don't pop up and down, and that's a big appeal for a lot of people. Believe it or not, I've had a lot of people that have been looking for Miata, and I usually, anytime someone tells me that they're looking for a Miata, they will be like, send me listings of ones that you think are great. I've sent plenty of listings with fixed LED headlights, and they're like, I want the pop-ups. That's the biggest appeal of the NA Miata. Mark my words, the pop-up headlights are the greatest thing, and fuck pedestrians, dude. Fuck pedestrians. Pop-up headlights for the win.
Pop up and down headlights. Pop up and down headlights.
28-way adjustable coilovers, cool. Chrome roll bar, Magnaflow exhaust, otherwise bone stock. And are we ready for the price here? $3,800. Salvage title, ripped soft top. We've got 166,000 miles, and it's $3,800 for a salvage title car. That's insane. 2 or 3 years ago, you would have never thought about a salvage title car being anything more than like $1,000. even if it ran perfect, even if it ran great and was bone stock and clean, if it was salvage title, it was like between $1,000 and $1,500 if it was mint. And if it was fucked up, it was like $500. So the fact that there are Miatas now going for $3,800 for a salvage title car without a hardtop is insane. That might be one crazy, who knows, someone might want to, you know, list their Miata for a lot. Maybe they'll take a little bit less. That happens all the time. Let's look at some other Miatas and see how insane these prices are. Let's look at something cheap. Let's look at a $2,200 Miata. That's reasonable. You don't see that come up too often. This white one looks fairly clean. It's got a clean soft top. Let's look. It's automatic. 245,000 miles. And it's a 94, so it's a 1.8 liter. Runs but doesn't drive. Put another motor in it with a new timing belt, water pump, spark plugs, thermostat, etc. Motor is in perfect working condition. The problem is the auto transmission. If you add fluid, it runs and drives. This thing's got a leaky automatic transmission. Number one, an automatic car is gonna be cheaper than a manual car, and they made more manuals than they made automatics. It's an automatic, so that already takes value away from it. And it's an automatic that doesn't work. It doesn't have the original engine. The body might be clean, but it's just ridiculous. Even this description is saying, do a manual swap, it's the best option, instead of fixing the automatic. That's ridiculous. Still $2,200 for a car you can't drive home. And it's a fucking Miata, the most common sports car of all time. Anyone heard of it? Let's look at something totally ridiculous then. How about this one? $5,400 for a 1990 Mazda Miata. So in the US, that's first year. That is the first year of the Mazda Miata in the United States is 1990. And this one says, great Miata, come check it out. Beside a new coil set, everything is stock, owned by an older people, so it wasn't dog, need gone ASAP. No low ballers. At $5,400. This thing doesn't have a hardtop either. I'm coming from Northwest Washington, where a hardtop is absolutely essential if you own a Miata. Soft tops just don't last in that kind of weather condition. Of course, I'm down here in Northern California now. It's December 1st today, and it's sunny and like 55 degrees out. So you don't necessarily need a hardtop, but it's nice to have. I can't imagine spending more than $3,000 on a Miata to have just a soft top. That's insane. Altogether, like, my soft top did not work at all. That's why I got the hardtop, and my hardtop I got for a steal. It was like $600. It was a great deal, and that doesn't happen very often. Miata hardtops are getting expensive. I'll make that a whole other video if you guys want to see that, because that's a whole other can of worms. The hardtop market is really stupid. But I think that Miatas, especially the NA, you shouldn't buy an NA Miata for more than $3,000 if it doesn't have a hardtop. It's a bonus if you still have the soft top as well. I still have my soft top. It doesn't go up all the way anymore, so I never use it, but it's there. And I can still get a new soft top and have it to be usable if I want it to be a convertible. I honestly don't feel any need to take the hardtop off ever, so I just don't. But this car looks like it's got some front end damage. There's some significant wear on the bumper. It is manual, so that's a plus. Interior looks fairly clean. Let's see how many miles it has. 143,000 miles. My car has 132,000 miles, and I would never get $5,400 for my car. Check it out if you're serious. I wouldn't mind letting you guys test drive it, so that's nice. Also, don't waste my time. Thank you. Please, again, no lowballers. Dude, it's $5,400 for a high mileage bone stock NA Miata with front end damage. Sure, it might be manual, it might be clean title, but $5,400 for a Miata? A bone stock Miata without a hardtop? That's insane. This one's $5,000. It looks modified. Let's see if there's anything that's actually been done to this Miata that makes it worth $5,000, because $5,000 is just a ridiculous amount of money for a Miata, and I don't understand. Let's look at the mods list. This guy's got a long mods list. I'm guessing Corbio, or Corbeau, or however that's pronounced. I'll put it on the screen. 5.3-inch harness, FX1 Pro racing seat, Miata sliding seat mount, halo headlights, stage 1 racing clutch, nice, a little bit stronger, freshly resurfaced flywheel, nice to have, new clutch. Rear main seal, great, that's a long-term fix. NRG quick release, cheap. Energy short hub adapter, also cheap. Energy suede deep dish 350mm wheel, new pilot and throwout bearings, very nice. Max beating rods coilovers, the cheapest coilovers you can possibly buy for this car. They're not great. I've driven cars with max beating rods and they're horrible. Apple CarPlay head unit doesn't really add to the value. People that are looking for these cars aren't looking for luxury, they're looking for raw driving feel. So that, I wouldn't say that adds or takes away from the value of this car. Rockford subwoofers and tweeters. Okay, so it's got a decent sound system. It might be kind of fun to bump around. Let's see, Manzo SS Series short throw shifter, kind of cool. Spider air intake. Don't think that matters too much. Megan's strut bar. Not the best strut bar you can get, but I guess it's better than nothing. Uno stainless steel catback exhaust. So it's gonna be loud, which in California means it's a cop magnet, which kinda sucks. And I would consider that a downside. Torsen rear diff, big upside. Now the Torsens came in the M Edition manual Miatas, which was the second gen of the NA, so the NA2. Or the NA8, as a lot of people call them, because it's the 1.8 liter instead of the 1.6 liter. Although, I don't understand why they do that. Call it NA1 and NA2, not NA6 and NA8. Because every other Miata generation is the NB1, the NB2, the NC1, the NC2, the ND1, the ND2. There is an ND2 now. Like, there are a lot of Miatas out there, a lot of different versions of them. Just call it a 1 and a 2. Stop making it 6 and 8. But Torsen LSD, great to have. Those didn't come in the 1.6 liters, so for this one being... Oh, I guess this one's a 96, so it might have come with that. But it doesn't look like an M Edition, so I don't think that's stock. I think that's definitely swapped in. This car looks very clean. I think it's getting close to the $5,000 mark. Again, no hardtop. It's crazy how many cars down here are selling for so much and don't have a hardtop. It says, don't offer me less than $4,500, I won't take it. Bro, I'll give you $4,000. This one looks like it's got a roll bar. Maybe it's got some engine modifications. Again, $5,000. So this one's got, it looks like a hard dog roll bar. Very nice. It's got the nice cross braces. Very, very good looking roll bar. Front end is totally fucked up. Let's see what else we have here. We have low pro headlights. Again, fixed. It's not like they're the nice ones from Jazz Performance, which are the ones that I want, that still go up and down, but they're still low pros. Those are really cool. Momo steering wheel, sick. 142.9 on the odometer. That's a lot of miles. Let's see. Have you done any engine things? Let's look at... The motor has rod knock. That's the first thing in the description. What? $5,000 for a 96 Miata with rod knock, no hardtop, and front end damage. Are you kidding me? This market is just getting ridiculous, dude. What the hell is going on? BC Racing coilovers, good quality coilovers, respect. Hard dog, roll bar, great one. Sparco Assetto Gara black wheels, 15x7. And 205 Falcon Azenis. So it's kind of got a sticky setup. I'm guessing this is an autocross car. Short throw shifter, nice. GV style rear lip, I'm not a fan. I don't really think that adds anything to the car. Aux beam headlights, again, don't really think it adds anything. Sparco Sprint seats, Sparco Racing 6-point harness, Momo Racing steering wheel, Energy quick release. That's it. It's been sitting since the instant it started knocking. So this car's got rod knock. You can't drive it home. It's a 96, so it's the 1.8 liter. I don't think that's worth $5,000. $5,000 is a lot of money for a car with rod knock. This market's getting insane, and I think we've definitely established that it's not really worth it. So that leads me to think, is it worth it to buy a Miata right now? And what are values going to do in the future? So for anyone that's watching this video and is thinking about buying a Miata, buy an NA1 try and find a good deal. Look for a good running and driving car. Look for a car that's in good condition. Maybe it doesn't have a hard top. Don't pay more than $3,000 for a car without a hard top. Please don't. That's, unless it's got like no miles on it and it's mint, I really don't think that's worth it. I've seen people buy Miatas with hardtops for $2,500 to $2,700. It's ridiculous. There are cars out there that are a better deal. Don't fall for all these cars that are just... The only thing that all these cars that are overpriced are doing is just saturating the market with cars that are expensive, so people think they can get more out of their Miata than their Miata's actually worth. Miatas aren't worth that much. They made a lot of them. You can easily go find another one if you destroy yours, but the more people that do that, the more these prices are going to go up and the harder they are going to be to get your hands on. So if you have a Miata and it's a good runner, it's solid, it's a good put together car, I recommend holding on to it. I think in 10 years, these prices are going to be absolutely ridiculous. And that's why I don't plan to sell my car ever. This is the same thing that we saw happen with the Datsun 240Z like 10 years ago. I remember perusing Craigslist like 10 years ago when I was like 9, because I was already into Datsuns by then, and I was already looking around for one, because I started planning for my first car far before I got my driver's license. And I was looking around, you could get a good running and driving Datsun 240Z for like $2,000 to $3,000, and it would be a good, solid, clean runner. Now those cars are like 20 or 30 grand. I don't know that I see Miatas getting that expensive, but I do think that they will get up there. I think we'll see Miatas, especially the NA ones, especially the ones that are kept clean, up into the $10,000 plus range, which is insane because that's nearly MSRP when these cars were new, even with a hard top. Let's look at the actual starting price of an NA Miata and look at what we think these cars will be going for in the future. I think these cars are going to go for 10 to 15, 10 years from now. I think that's totally reasonable. I think they'll be looked at as even more of a classic than they are now. I think they'll be a lot less common because we'll be past the phase where everyone just bought one and destroyed it. Everyone knows someone who's bought a $500 Miata and like jumped it or something, or drifted it in a dirt field or something and run it into some shit. There are plenty of kids out there getting their hands on Miatas as their first cars, and I hate to say it, but people like my age and younger tend to just destroy these cars. And I honestly have kind of done the same thing to mine. My car's been through a lot, but it's not a car I plan on getting rid of, and I plan on completely fixing it. It's not like I'm destroying it on purpose, like a lot of these 16, 17-year-old kids that are just getting their hands on a cheap Miata are. And I think that the clean ones in the future, and any shell that hasn't been in an accident, is a shell maybe, but doesn't have any rust or anything, I think those cars are going to go significantly up in value, and I think they'll be very similar to when the NA Miata came out. I think we'll be in that same $10,000 to $15,000 price point in the future, 10 to 15 years down the line for these cars. So here's my advice. If you want a Miata and you want an NA right now, and you're looking for a good, solid car, go find one. Do your research, make sure you know about the car before you buy it. Buy one that's in good running condition and keep it that way. If you have one right now, don't let go of it. They're only going to get more expensive, and if you enjoy the car at all, you should hold on to it and enjoy it. So that's my whole thought on the Miata market. It was just something that was on my mind and is totally crazy, so I figured I'd make a video about it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next video.